Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are taking a look at a Collecta figure, which is not a surprise as I review them quite often. Collecta is awesome, and this Parasaurolophus is a deluxe figure, and it's one that I was actually looking forward to getting for a very long time, and I really just recently got it, so it's nice to finally add this guy to my collection because it's been out for a very long time, and for some reason I was just never able to grab one until just the other day I finally got a hold of one. And I am very thankful that I did because it is a very nice looking figure. It's got a few little things that I would say about it that, again, I'm not a big fan of, but it still does look really nice regardless. So let's get a closer look at it. Starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that the overall head sculpt is really beautifully done. Again, we get kind of this Collecta war paint type of a look like they love to do. But it really looks beautiful on this Parasaurolophus. I've definitely loved the blue here in the back on the crest and this red coloration that runs along the top here. I think it's just absolutely wonderful looking. It's just really beautiful, very striking, just gives it such a beautiful striking appearance on the head. And I'm not normally one for such a striking, bright look, but I kind of wish they would have included this a little more on the body just because it's just so nice. But I don't really know how you would have been able to realistically include these colorations on the body, but I feel like if anybody could figure it out, it would be Collecta. Regardless, it still looks really nice, and it's just such a beautiful appearance to it that I just love it. You can see the eyes are painted very nicely. They have a nice gloss over them, and the coloration really around the eye, maybe a little too bright, but it still looks pretty good. The white coloration, it doesn't look quite as bright in person as it does on camera, so it definitely looks a lot better if you actually hold the figure in hand and look at it. Taking a look up here at the nostrils are sculpted very nicely, and the beak looks beautiful as well. Very nicely sculpted. You can see the tongue inside. Nice coloration on that as well. Same goes for this side of the face, also very nicely painted and very nicely sculpted. The paint, honestly, with a lot of the war paint that Collecta uses, I think it doesn't normally look very natural, but honestly on this one it does in a way. It looks quite natural the way it's been applied just because it's been very nicely airbrushed and it just looks fairly realistic the way it's on there. Especially if you see it in person, it's quite impressive the way they were able to do that. Coming down the length of the neck, you can see that the scales are very nicely sculpted, but they're very small, so it looks beautiful. It's quite impressive how they were able to cram such tiny scales all over the body. Very nicely done. And the coloration of the body is actually really nice. I am really a big fan of the way it looks. It's got this very dark coloration, this dark brown, which is basically like a burnt umber brown, which I am also a big fan of. And it kind of leads almost to like a lighter brown orangey type color, and then leads to this lighter brown, which is the primary color of the body. But even throughout the body, you can see there are little hints of other variations of brown that really make it look beautiful. You see some very nice skin folds here in the shoulder blade coming down into the leg, some beautiful muscle tone, and the feet are sculpted very nicely. You can see the nails are painted nicely as well. So overall, that is definitely a beautiful appearance to that. Coming back up here into the shoulder area, you can see all sorts of skin folds, just kind of giving you an idea of the motion of the dinosaur. As we come along the stomach, you can't see the rib cage or anything like that, but it's understandable if you look at the dinosaur from right here. As you can see that this is pretty chunky of a Parasaurolophus. It's definitely pretty thick in the stomach region, so it's really well fed, and you're probably not going to get any idea of a rib cage on this one. Coming back in here to the rear leg, you can see that the hip bones are really elaborated, and you can get a good idea of the musculature here in the rear leg. You've got the kneecaps there are nicely painted and sculpted. There's that little difference of brown there, that light hint of dark brown to just kind of make that area pop to you and make you take notice of it. Beautifully sculpted calf muscles, and then coming down into the rear foot here, that just looks fantastic. Again, the nails are painted nicely, and there's that dark brown, that almost burnt umber that's been applied to the toes again down here, just making it look really nice. And then we come up into the tail, and that beautiful coloration on the back, and then the lower part of the tail here, it just all looks so nice, and there's the nice dry brushing that's been put over it as well to just really bring out the detail, and I think it looks fantastic. The whole tail comes out very straight and nice and long, and it looks quite nice. Same deal on this side, very nicely done, but there's not too much difference as far as the sculpt. I feel like there's some detail that if this was a newer Collecta figure would have been included that wasn't included back when this one was created. Like specifically right here when this rear leg is coming up into the stomach. I feel like newer Collecta might have included some skin folds to just kind of show the motion of what's going on with the dinosaur. And same over here, you can really see that there isn't really any type of a skin fold or anything like that. And that's something that Collecta definitely would have included now. But this figure has been out for quite a long time, and for as long as it's been out, it's really quite impressive how nice it is. And one area that I really like actually on this figure is the underside. You can see just how much nice detail and sculpt work has been put into the underside of this. You can also see that this was made in 2013, so again, like I said, it's been out for quite a while now. But the overall detail on the underside is incredible, and really makes me feel like this is just a very large animal, because this is exactly the type of skin detail that I would expect to see on like an elephant or something like that. So it really looks beautiful, and it's nicely done on this Parasaurolophus. And again, you get the cloaca and the appearance of it being somewhat dirty, so very nice touch as far as realism goes on the part of Collecta. Now to my slight dislikes of this figure. Honestly, I don't think the actual sculpting of the body, the way the body appears, is really too realistic and too up-to-date. But again, this was made in 2013, so it's not going to be the most up-to-date Parasaurolophus there is. So I can definitely let that slide, since at that time, this may have been closer to what we assumed Parasaurolophus looked like. But the one thing that I have a pretty big issue with, and it's not super big, but is this tail is just unreasonably thick. I don't recall Parasaurolophus ever having such a thick tail. I know people believe that they may have used the tail as a weapon to defend itself, but honestly, I feel like that's just a bit too thick. It still looks really nice, especially from the side, but when you look at it up above, you can really see just how unreasonably thick that tail is. Now, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe at some point, or maybe there is a species that has a thicker tail like this, but I actually have never heard of it, so I would be quite intrigued to know if there is. But overall, to me, that tail just looks a bit too thick. And the dinosaur itself is actually pretty fat, so I don't know if maybe that's the idea behind the thicker tail, that this is just a little bit more of an overweight Parasaurolophus. But either way, I still really like it. Even with the thick tail and the oddly fat appearance, in my opinion, it's still a really beautiful Parasaurolophus. And we don't get too many hadrosaurs, honestly, when it comes to these dinosaur figures. Most companies just kind of skip over hadrosaurs, and I don't understand why. I love hadrosaurs, and I really wish there were more of them out there. So even with a few inaccuracies like this Parasaurolophus has, I still love it, simply because we don't get near enough hadrosaurs, and it's still got a beautiful striking appearance to it, so I definitely dig it. Again, it's also a larger figure, which also helps to give it some extra points in my book. As far as the size goes, from the tail to the head, you are looking at a little over 11.5 inches and about 29.5 centimeters, and for a height, about 3.5 inches, somewhere in that general vicinity, maybe a little more, actually close to 3.75 inches, and about 9.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is the Papo T-Rex, and although the Parasaurolophus is significantly shorter than the Rex, you can see that it is really quite long, definitely a very long figure. So this should give you a pretty good idea of the size of the Parasaurolophus, next to our big dopey friend, the Papo T-Rex. So again, it may not be everyone's favorite Parasaurolophus, but it's still a really nice Parasaurolophus in my opinion. Like I've mentioned previously, it's got a few inaccuracies that may just have been something to do with when it was made. Again, we got to take into consideration the fact that this figure was produced back in 2013, and a lot has changed since then in the dinosaur world, so the way we view Parasaurolophus now is probably quite different from when we viewed it back then. Being an older figure, it's still really nice, and the amount of detail and sculpt and everything like that, and again the paint as well, is really quite impressive. To see that Collecta was producing such nice figures way back then, it's really a beautiful looking appearance to it, and overall just looks very natural with the way the paint has been applied, so it gets extra points in my opinion for that, because I love a figure that looks like it's colored that way and isn't just painted that way. I love a natural appearance on a figure, and this one definitely has that. So overall, very, very nice. Is it the best Parasaurolophus in the world? Not a chance. But is it a very nice Parasaurolophus? Definitely, without question. And definitely worth picking up in my opinion, especially considering, as I mentioned, there aren't too many hadrosaurs being produced out there in the dinosaur world. So Anytime you get a nice hadrosaur, it's worth picking up, and this Collecta Parasaurolophus is no exception. So I will throw a link in the description for you if you are interested in purchasing it, and go ahead and click that, go buy it. I'll link you to everythingdinosaur.com where you can grab it from there. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.